Good morning, everybody. My name is Alfredo, and today's lesson is going to be about the solar system. Um, I have different topics up here. You may not be able to see them, but if you have any questions, of course, you can always reach out to me. I'll put in my email and information. That way, you can send me any questions you have. Well, we're going to start today with the solar system. So, the solar system is actually the system that we live in. One of the reasons why it's called the solar system is because we base it on our sun. The word solar comes from the Latin word solis, which means, as you know, sun. There are many solar systems throughout the universe. Obviously, that's the one that we live in. The next, so one way that we realize that we live in our solar system is through the Hubble telescope. So this telescope was put in orbit around the 90s, I want to say. It's named after Edwin Hubble, I believe, which is an astronomer. This particular telescope served as a key instrument in helping us understand our universe, or the universe that we live in, mostly our solar system. The third point that I would like to have here is the planets. As we know, we have 8 planets in our solar system. I've taken the liberty to put up pictures of the planets if you already not know them. Of course, the first one, it's Mercury. So Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. It is not the biggest planet. It's actually the smallest planet in our solar system. And like I said, it's the one closest to the sun, which is right here. This is actually an infrared picture. The planet doesn't really quite looks like that. It's one interesting fact about Mercury is it's a little bigger than our moon. So like I said, it's not the very biggest. Let's see. Even though it's not even though it's the closest planet to the sun, it is not the hottest. So now we'll move on to the next one. The next one will be our planet Venus. Venus is the second planet from the sun, and it is closest to our planet, which is Earth. So Venus and Earth are called the twin planets because they're very similar in size and density. But even though they're similar, they have many differences as well. So the thing about Venus is that the atmosphere is really, really toxic for humans. You have a lot of, like you see all this coloring in here. You have a lot of sulfuric acid trapped within the atmosphere, which creates a lot of heat. You can see there's a lot. You see the different colors in here. There's volcanoes and terrain very similar to Earth. The next planet, of course, is planet Earth. It's a planet that we live in. Third rock from the sun. I mean, that's pretty much the easiest way to remember it. I guess the most important thing about Earth is the only planet in our solar system that's able to hold life to the extent that we see. You see all the other planets. I mean, you can see that there's no water. So that's primarily one of the reasons why we're able to have that many living organisms on our planet. So let's see. So another thing, the word Earth is actually a Germanic word, believe it or not, which basically means just ground or dirt. Um, the fourth planet is Mars, the red planet. Mars Mars has been an interesting planet to study, based on the fact that it has polar ice caps, which means that there's water trapped in there, moisture, which, as we know, water is primordial for life. So I believe that's one of the reasons why scientists are very interested in Mars. Plus, you can also see different canyons and different places where perhaps water ran through. And another thing about Mars, though, I'm a big science fiction person, and Mars has been, the subject to a lot of the science fiction movies. One of the papers that we just did, of course, The Martian. But I mean, you have, like I say, you have different movies made about Mars. The fifth planet, it's Jupiter. So Jupiter is by far the biggest planet in our solar system. Is actually twice as big as all these other planets. And so, like, if you able to pay attention right here, that big red spot is actually a storm, and that storm it's bigger than planet Earth. So it just gives you a perspective of how big Jupiter is. And you see all these swirls in here. They look like stripes. Looks like a marble, actually. So it's a combination of ammonia and water floating in the atmosphere. And the storm in here, like I was saying, that's been going on for like hundreds of years. So that just gives you a perspective of how long celestial beings have existed in our universe. The sixth planet in our solar system is going to be Saturn, and of course, everybody recognizes Saturn by the rings. Saturn is not the only planet that has rings. There's other planets in other solar systems that have rings as well, but that is the most recognizable aspect of Saturn. The rings, actually, they're made out of chunks of ice and rock, and they're being kept in their circular motion due to the gravity pull from the planet itself. The seventh planet in our solar system, that's Uranus. Okay, so you can laugh it up. So it is the third largest planet in diameter, of course. And it was first discovered in 1781 by astronomer William Herschel. There was a little debate about the name of the planet Uranus, but if you can look it up, do some research, you found it that in the end, they decided to go with that name. And the last planet, the eighth planet in our solar system, that's Neptune. This is the planet that's the furthest away from the sun, and hence the blue coloring that's because it's basically made out of ice, just dark and cold, and there's no life there, of course. Perhaps maybe some microorganisms, but I'm not 100% to be sure. I haven't really done too much research on Neptune itself. If anybody has picked up, all the planets are named after Greek and Roman gods. except for planet Earth. And so one mnemonic that we can use to remember the planets is my very excellent mother just served us noodles. So this way we can use fun words to remember the position of the planets. There used to be another planet, Pluto, of course. It's not considered a planet anymore. That's what scientists will call a dwarf planet. So the reason why it's no longer considered a planet is because it can't clear its orbit of debris. So a lot of these planets, it's like one of the requirements for it to be a planet. If some of the planets, if you look up in the nighttime on the night sky, you can see them, especially Mars. If you look up into the sky, you can see a star, and it has like a reddish color. That's Mars. So I would recommend to take a look at some of these apps that you're able to look at the stars. So the next topic in my presentation is the sun. So as we know, the sun is imperative for our survival. If it was for the sun, we wouldn't have life. The sun, so all the planets rotate around the sun. The sun, believe it or not, is the only star in our solar system. The sun is what we consider a dwarf yellow star, so the hottest part of the sun will be its core. And as you move away from the core, there's different layers to the sun. But the most important thing that you need to take from this presentation is that without it, we wouldn't be able to be here. And as you can see in the picture from the planets, the effect that the sun has according to the position of these planets. So, like I said, the last one, is furthest away from the sun, is just a dark or cold planet. Topic number 6. We have the moon. Of course, the moon is the brightest celestial object that we have in our solar system. Given that it reflects light from the sun, that's why it looks white. The moon is Earth's natural satellite. So one interesting fact about the moon is that it controls our tides. So even though it's so far away from us, it has a direct effect on our everyday life. Plus, as you guys know, there's been a mission to the moon. So I believe Buzz Aldrin was one of the guys or astronauts that was able to set foot on the moon. Let's see. So another interesting fact about the moon is there are actually several moons to different planets, but the moon, Earth's moon, was the first moon to be discovered. So it's referred to as the moon. Like I said, even though there's more. Mars has moons. Other planets have moons. So, but that's one of the reasons why it's named the moon. So, funny thing about the moon, like I said, Buzz Aldrin was one of the astronauts that set foot on the moon. In the movie Toy Story has a character named Buzz Lightyear. Um, he's named after the astronaut Buzz Aldrin, and they use the word light year to describe distances, celestial objects. So you can look up to see what a light year is. I already have, but I'll leave it up to you. Another point I would like to make is the Milky Way. So the Milky Way is the galaxy that we live in. So the Milky Way has a core, and it has like the swirling clouds and dust and stars, and so they swirl around this core. So our planet and our sun are located in the Milky Way. The Milky Way is massive, contains many rocks and, like I said, different objects like that. But the different arms, they have different names, and if you want to look up the position or where our planet is and our sun is in the Milky Way, you're welcome to. Let's see. The seventh topic in the presentation is the stars. Of course, the stars. Stars. We look in the sky and we can see the stars. They're everywhere. The funny thing is that they're so far away from us. I mean, the amount is just astronomical. Like I mentioned before when I was talking about the sun is the only star in our solar system. So it just gives you a perspective of how far away the stars are. So you have different stars. You have like I said, like our sun, it's a yellow dwarf. You have red. I believe red giants. You got super giants. You have things like the beginning, the formation of stars. So a formation of a star is what is called as a protostar. And so you have, the birth of the star, their life cycle, whichever star they turn into. So you got things like supernovas. You got other topics such as black holes, as we know, which is a very complicated subject to understand. But once again, it should be up to you to do your research and try to understand if that is what you're looking to. Let's see. Oh. Let's see. So now we're going to move into meteors. So meteors are actually, they're objects in space, of course. So a lot of people see them, fall into an atmosphere and what is called a shooting star. So when a meteor comes into Earth, the fall into the atmosphere is what actually makes them burn. So it seems like they're it's a shooting star, like I said. So it gives all this luminescence to it, and we're able to see it in the nighttime sky. So the thing about meteors, you have different things to understand about them. So you have meteors, which are objects in space that they can be the size of a speckle of dust, or are actually a bigger rock. And once they land on, once a meteor breaks off into Earth's atmosphere and hits the ground, it's actually called meteorite. So we'll move on to the next topic, which would be, comets. So comets are actually frozen leftover rocks that travel through space. So they could be They can be not necessarily very small, but they range from a couple of few miles in diameter to tens of miles wide. So they can be mile, 2 miles long, or they can be, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 miles long. So like I say, they travel to space, and sometimes they orbit close to the sun. So that that catches the gases in the comet and burns them, and then it gives them like this long burning tail to them. Let's see. So the article that I was reading says that there are like billions of comets out there, and you can find them in space. I mean, there's a bunch of pictures online. You can take a look. And so, the last topic that I want to bring up is an eclipse. So I feel this is one of the topics that I wasn't really quite. I mean, I knew what it was, but I wasn't really quite sure how it worked. I mean, I understood that there's a lunar eclipse and there's a solar eclipse. I just, like I said, I just didn't understand, and doing this presentation, it actually gave me a perspective of what a solar and lunar eclipse is. So I'm gonna try to do my best to give you guys a presentation of what a lunar eclipse is. So if we have the sun, right, sun, and we have Earth, right, Earth, and we have the moon, right? So the moon's smaller than Earth, but so sometimes you will have a lunar eclipse. So let's just make sure I get my facts right, because I don't want to come across like I don't know what I'm talking about. So a lunar eclipse is when let's see. So you could have, so you have so the actual moon orbits around Earth and covers the sun, right? And so the light is covered by the moon from Earth. So let's just make sure that I got this right. Orbit the sun. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. So it's saying that the moon orbits around Earth. And at the same time, Earth orbits the sun. So that's how you get a lunar eclipse. The next one will be a solar eclipse. So once again, sun, moon. Sun, Earth. So what you have in this case is sun, Earth. So what you have is the moon orbiting against Earth, and then the moon moves in between the sun and Earth. So in this case, you have them orbiting together, right? But in this case, so this is a lunar eclipse. And in this case, you have the moon actually moving in front of the Earth and sun. Right here, they're all moving together, orbiting around the sun. So once again, I would encourage for you guys to look up these topics. That way you can, formulate your own opinion, and you can see the flaws in my presentation, of course. But in any case, please, send me your questions. Any comments are welcome as long as they're constructive. And of course, I'll take, like I said, I take constructive criticism. Um, I will not, although I will not accept, any rude comments and things like that. I will not give in. But you're welcome to, if that's what you want to do. But I will also, and actually, this concludes my presentation. So, thank you for your time, and this is my last assignment. So, good luck to everyone. Thank you.